What if I told you that the second you stop caring, the tables turn? Right now, you're trapped in your mind, stuck on repeat, replaying old memories, questioning every moment, asking yourself what went wrong. You gave everything, your time, your energy, your love, only to be tossed aside like it meant nothing. While you sit there drowning in silence, she walks away as if she never even looked back. But here's the truth she won't admit. Something is eating away at her. Something is making her restless and unsettled. It's not your texts. It's not your desperate attempts to reach out. It's your absence. Your silence is louder than any words you could ever say. The moment you stop chasing, you force her into a reality she never expected, a reality where she is no longer in control. The attention she took for granted is gone. The security of knowing you were always there has vanished. She assumed you would always wait, always hope, always be just one message away. But now she's staring at a void, and that void is driving her insane. Welcome to a Stoic blessing. This is where pain turns into power, where loss becomes the fuel for your transformation. This is where you stop being a man who begs for love and become the man who commands it without a single word. This isn't about revenge, it's about rebirth. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. It's about becoming untouchable. Because the moment you show that you don't need her, she will start questioning everything. The moment you pull away, she will feel the weight of what she lost. And when she finally realizes it, it will be too late. But by then, you won't even care. In this video, I'm going to show you how to detach, rebuild, and make her regret every single moment she took you for granted. Not by playing games, not by pretending, but by becoming someone so unshakable, so indifferent to her validation that she won't be able to stop thinking about you, all through the power of Stoicism and dark psychology. So before we begin, hit that like button, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss out. Remember, the most valuable thing in this world isn't love, money, or status. It's control. Control over your emotions, your actions, your destiny. By the end of this video, you'll have it. Comment below with the affirmation, "My power is in my control." Let the world know that from this moment forward, you're untouchable. Number 1, why they lost interest and how to get it back. They didn't leave because you weren't good enough. They left because you became predictable. In the beginning, you were a mystery with layers they had to figure out, and that's what pulled them in. But over time, you made a mistake. You gave them certainty. At first, you were a force of nature moving with purpose, but slowly, you started prioritizing them over yourself. You made yourself too available, too eager, too easy. You texted back instantly, rearranged your plans for them, and put their needs above your own. Maybe at first they appreciated it. Maybe they even said they wanted that. But deep down, something changed. The second they knew they had full control over you, something inside them shifted. Respect faded, attraction weakened, not because they wanted it to, but because they're wired that way. When someone is too easy to hold on to, the mind starts to wonder if they're worth holding on to at all. It's like a fire. If you feed it too much wood at once, it suffocates and dies. But if you let it breathe, if you keep the air flowing, it burns hotter and stronger. You became the man who threw in too much at once, too much time, too much attention, too much devotion. Instead of making the fire stronger, it smothered the flame. They won't say it out loud, but deep down, they didn't fall for you because you put them on a pedestal. They fell for you because you had something going on, a mission, a purpose, an energy that pulled them in. But when you made them your entire world, you lost that edge. You stopped being the person they admired and became just another person who needed them more than they needed you. The harsh truth is this: attraction isn't about how much you care, but about how much they respect you. And nothing kills respect faster than someone who abandons themselves for the sake of another. Now you might be asking yourself, so what was I supposed to do? Ignore them? Treat them badly? The answer was never about treating them less. It was about treating yourself as more. They never wanted to be the center of your world. They wanted to orbit around it, to feel pulled in by your energy, not to become your only source of it. There's a reason why those who don't change face often end up being the most desired. It's not because they play games, it's because they understand their value. They know their worth isn't in someone else's hands. Now they're gone, and you're left wondering what happened. But the real question isn't why they left. It's when you stopped being the person they were drawn to in the first place. This is where Stoicism comes in. This is where you rebuild. You don't chase, you don't beg. You shift your focus back to yourself, back to your purpose, back to the person who never had to prove their worth, because their worth was never in question. The less you need them, the more they feel the need to have you. And the moment you reclaim your power, you flip the entire script. Number 2, why you feel broken and how to rise again. Is it really them you miss, or is it the version of yourself you lost along the way? Right now, the pain feels unbearable. You wake up with a heaviness in your chest, haunted by memories that won't let go. Your mind replays everything: what you said, what they said, what you could have done differently. You feel empty, powerless, like a part of you disappeared the moment they walked away. But here's the truth most never realize. It's not them you're mourning. It's the loss of control. The mind craves certainty. It wants to know what's next, to feel secure in its place. When they left, they shattered that certainty. Suddenly, the future you imagined is gone, replaced with a silence that feels unbearable. You're drowning in questions with no answers, and that's the real pain. It's not love lost, it's stability lost. It's not heartbreak, it's the fear of the unknown. You might be asking yourself, why does it hurt so much? The answer is simple: attachment, not to them, but to an idea, to a fantasy, to the comfort of what once was. You weren't in love with them. You were in love with the version of reality you built in your mind. But reality doesn't owe you that version, and clinging to something that no longer exists is like trying to hold on to smoke. It slips through your fingers no matter how tightly you grasp. The more you resist what is, the more you suffer. But the moment you accept it, that's when you become free. There's a reason the strongest warriors never flinch in battle. They don't fight the reality in front of them. They adapt. They don't waste energy on what could have been, because they know the only thing that matters is what is. Right now, they expect you to break. They assume you're checking their social media, waiting for a message, drowning in regret. But what if you didn't? What if instead of collapsing under the weight of this moment, you stood tall? What if instead of being consumed by pain, you used it? What if this wasn't your breaking point, but your rebirth? That's the power of Stoicism. It teaches you that suffering is a choice. No rejection, no loss, no disappointment has power over you unless you hand it over. You are the master of your emotions, the architect of your own mind. And once you understand that, the pain begins to lose its grip. You don't need them to come back. You don't need closure. You don't need anything outside of yourself. Because once you let go, once you fully detach, you become untouchable. And when that happens, they feel it, and that's when the story changes. Number 3, the silent weapon that shifts everything. The strongest person in the room is the one who needs nothing from anyone. The moment you detach, you shift the balance. Right now, they expect you to react. They expect you to chase, to seek closure, to prove your worth. But the second you do, you lose. Because the moment you show you're still emotionally invested, they know they still hold the power. This is where most people fail. They let their emotions dictate their actions. They send that text when they shouldn't. They explain, justify, plead. They try to make the other person understand. But understanding isn't the goal. Power is. A person who understands power knows that silence is the deadliest response. When you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. Nothing haunts someone more than the one they can no longer read. They check their phone, nothing. They expect an emotional message, some sign that you're still caught in their orbit. But there's only silence. They move on, thinking you'll be there if they ever want to come back. But when they finally look, you're nowhere to be found. That's when the doubt begins. Detachment isn't about pretending not to care. It's about actually not caring. And to do that, you have to train your mind to see things differently. Instead of seeing this loss as pain, see it as transformation. Instead of viewing silence as weakness, see it as control. Because the less you say, the louder your absence speaks. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That means no matter what they do to provoke a reaction, whether it's through social media, mutual friends, or even testing you with a random message, you remain unmoved. Because the one who is truly detached is untouchable. When you detach, you don't just regain power over yourself, you take power away from them. And that's the moment something inside them shifts. They won't admit it, but the second they realize you've moved on without hesitation, a new feeling creeps in: uncertainty. They start to wonder if they made a mistake. And that uncertainty, that's what drives them crazy. Most people drown in emotions, but those who rise above them become legends. So the real question is, will you be forgotten, or will you be the one they never replace? Number 4, rise above. The path to becoming unstoppable is clear. The best revenge isn't anger, it isn't proving a point, it isn't making them regret anything. The best revenge is no revenge at all. It's moving forward so powerfully that the past becomes irrelevant. Most people make the mistake of waiting for them to come back, waiting for closure, waiting for the pain to disappear. But waiting is nothing more than wasted time, and time is the one thing you never get back. Right now, you have 2 choices: stay the same and suffer, or rebuild and become something greater than you ever were. This was never about them. It was always about you. Somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. You abandoned your priorities, your purpose, your drive. You gave your energy away, and now that it's gone, you feel empty. But the truth is, no one can ever truly take your power. It's just been waiting for you to reclaim it. The moment you stop making someone else the source of your happiness and start building it within yourself, everything shifts. A person who finds fulfillment within can never be broken by something outside of them. That's where real strength begins. You wake up earlier, you push yourself harder, you train, you read, you refine your style, you elevate your mindset. You stop seeking validation and start becoming the kind of person who doesn't need it. The second you stop chasing people and start chasing greatness, the entire dynamic changes. They won't say it out loud, but they'll feel it. Even if you never reach out, even if you never look back, they'll notice the shift. Suddenly, the question isn't whether you were enough, it's whether they were. By the time they realize your worth, you won't even want them back. Because the person you're becoming isn't the same one who was left behind. They were soft, you are sharp. They were hesitant, you are decisive. They needed someone, you need nothing. This is what it means to be untouchable, to be in full control of your emotions, your actions, your destiny. To become someone who never begs, never chases, never folds. a person so solid in their purpose that the world has no choice but to take notice. When you reach that level, you won't just be remembered, you'll be unforgettable. Number 5. The power of scarcity. Why going silent drives them crazy. If you're always available, you're never valued. It sounds harsh, but there's truth in it. People tend to overlook what's readily offered while they grow intrigued by what suddenly disappears. When someone can reach you anytime, anywhere, your presence becomes predictable, almost like background noise. Yet when you remove yourself, when you go silent, the absence creates a void that calls attention more than any words could. It's like walking into a room where music suddenly stops. Everyone notices the silence because it demands an explanation. Many think the way to win someone back or make them reconsider is through constant effort. Repeated messages, heartfelt calls, long explanations. But the effort itself can work against you. When you're always pushing forward, there's no space for the other person to feel curiosity or doubt. Silence, on the other hand, is a powerful vacuum that pulls in questions. It's the difference between shouting your name in a crowded marketplace and letting it echo in a quiet canyon. The marketplace noise swallows your voice, while the canyon magnifies every whisper. You might wonder, isn't this just a game? In reality, it's about understanding human nature and the principle of scarcity. People value what they think might slip through their fingers. Diamonds are treasured partly because they're rare. Water in a desert is precious because it's scarce. Likewise, your time and attention become more valuable when they're not guaranteed. By stepping away, you show that you are not dependent on someone else's validation. Instead of trying to convince them of your worth, you let them feel the space where you used to stand. And that space can say more than any argument ever could. There's also a deeper psychological shift at play. People often assume that if they walk away, you'll be waiting in the same spot, scrolling through old photos or drafting the perfect apology. When you remain silent, you subvert that assumption. Days pass, then weeks, and suddenly they realize you haven't reached out at all. That realization snaps them out of their complacency. They may ask themselves, did I overestimate my importance? Are they happier without me? That creeping doubt becomes more unsettling than any confrontation. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who caused the injury." In this context, silence is exactly that, choosing calm control over frantic pursuit. Of course, questions might arise. What if they never notice I'm gone? Or what if they move on entirely? The reality is, if someone truly doesn't notice your absence, then you have your answer. You were investing in a place that could not give anything back. That might be painful, but it's better to know than to chase an illusion. And if they do move on, it means they weren't deeply connected in the first place. Your silence simply sped up a reality that would have unfolded anyway, saving you from prolonged uncertainty. Some also worry that silence is manipulative, but genuine silence isn't about tricking someone into missing you. It's about reclaiming your self-respect. It's a conscious choice to disengage from a dynamic where your worth is questioned. It's turning your energy inward, focusing on your own growth, your own goals, your own peace. In the words of Epicurus, no person is free who is not master of themselves. When you decide to stop reacting and start reflecting, you're taking control of your own mind instead of handing it over to someone else. Picture a vast lake at dawn, perfectly still. The reflection of the sky is so clear that you can see clouds drifting across the water. Now imagine throwing a stone in. The ripples disturb that calm surface, and the reflection warps. That's what constant effort looks like, churning the water without ever letting it settle. Silence, on the other hand, is allowing those ripples to fade until the lake becomes mirror-like again. And in that mirror, you see yourself clearly, unclouded by external noise. In the end, going silent isn't merely about creating a dramatic effect. It's about rediscovering your own center. People might call or message, or they might not. Their reactions no longer dictate your next move. You become someone who is neither chasing nor hiding, but simply standing in your own power. That calm self-containment can be more compelling than any grand gesture. When absence speaks louder than words, it doesn't just change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. Number 6. The unspoken truth about distance. People don't value what they think will always be there. It's a simple truth, but one that many struggle to accept. When someone knows they can have you at any moment, the mystery is gone, and with it, the spark that once made them curious. It's like a song you play on repeat. At first it moves you, but over time the magic fades. But when that song disappears, when it's no longer playing in the background of their life, that's when they start to miss it most. Many believe the way to stay in someone's mind is through effort. More texts, more calls, more reminders of what once was. But the truth is, nothing repels faster than desperation. It's not effort that draws them in, it's absence. When you remove yourself from the picture, you create a space where your presence used to be, and that space speaks louder than words. Silence isn't emptiness, it's energy. It's the weight of what's unspoken, the presence of what's missing. When you go quiet, you force them to face a new reality, one where you are no longer accessible. At first, they might not even notice, but as the days pass, as the routine they once knew shifts without you in it, something changes. They check their phone, expecting the usual message. Nothing. They scroll through conversations, waiting for some sign that you're still there. Silence. And then a question begins to form in their mind. Did I misjudge them? People expect to be chased. They expect to be missed, to be longed for, to be someone's lingering thought. But when you do the unexpected, when you detach without hesitation, you shake that belief to its core. You break the script they assumed you would follow. Nothing is more unsettling than realizing you are not as irreplaceable as you once thought. It's not about playing games, it's about self-respect. It's about understanding that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambition." If your ambitions revolve around proving something to someone who walked away, then you've already lost. But if your ambition is to grow, to rise, to reclaim your time and energy, then you become something rare, something they never expected to lose. Some will ask, what if they don't care? What if they never reach out? The answer is simple. Then you have your truth. If your absence doesn't leave a mark, then your presence never did either. That realization might sting, but it's a gift. It frees you from illusions. It allows you to put your energy where it truly belongs, on yourself. Others will say, "Isn't this just manipulation?" But true silence isn't about controlling someone else's reaction. It's about mastering your own. It's about choosing peace over chaos, dignity over desperation. It's about stepping back, not because you hope they notice, but because you've realized you deserve more than waiting for them. Imagine a mountain standing tall as the seasons change. Storms come, winds howl, yet it remains unmoved. That's what true detachment looks like. It's not coldness, it's strength. It's not about punishing someone with silence. It's about finding power in your own. In the end, the lesson is clear. The less you seek validation from others, the more they feel the need to give it. But by the time they do, you won't be standing in the same place they left you. You'll be too far ahead to look back. Number 7. Flip the script. Let them chase you. Imagine this. The one who cares less holds all the power. When you walk away first, you win the game. You might be wondering, how do I get them back? But that's the wrong question. The real challenge is becoming the person they never wanted to leave. Many make the mistake of trying to convince someone to come back, but attraction isn't built on logic. It's fueled by emotion and perception. When they sense that you're still waiting, still hoping, still tracking every move, they know you haven't let go. And when that happens, they feel in control. Think of it like a dance. If you're always following the same steps, they lead effortlessly. But when you change the rhythm and step away, the dance transforms. Instead of being the one who chases, you become the one whose absence speaks volumes. It's not about proving your worth through endless messages or desperate gestures. It's about shifting the focus back to your own evolution. When you stop reacting to every move they make, you make them react to yours. That switch in power is magnetic. It makes you infinitely more attractive. You might ask yourself, is this really going to work? Consider this. People are drawn to those who have a mission, who are busy creating their own world, and who thrive without needing constant validation. When you live with purpose and chase greatness instead of chasing someone, you radiate a quiet confidence. That confidence makes others question whether they made a mistake letting you go. They might wonder if they overlooked something valuable. Picture a river that, instead of trying to force its way through every obstacle, flows around them gracefully. That's you. When you reverse the frame, you're not fighting to prove your value. You're simply moving forward with unwavering resolve. You become the person who no longer reacts emotionally, but rather moves with deliberate, silent strength. And that kind of energy is irresistible. It's not about playing mind games or setting traps. It's about reclaiming your inner power and letting your actions speak for themselves. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you focus on growing, on bettering yourself, you no longer waste precious time waiting for someone who may never come around. You become so engrossed in your own progress that the idea of waiting for someone else becomes almost laughable. You might wonder, what if they send a casual message or like one of my posts? And that's fine. They might test the waters just to see if you're still the same person. But a high-value individual never jumps at crumbs. If they truly want to be part of your life again, they'll have to earn their way back. There are no instant returns or shortcuts. When you've reclaimed your power, your transformation is complete, and you're no longer chasing anyone's approval. By reversing the frame, you're not just getting back what you had, you're creating a dynamic where the roles are flipped entirely. They start wondering if they ever truly understood you or if they lost sight of something irreplaceable. And that uncertainty, that's the ultimate game changer. So if you're ready to take control and rewrite your own narrative, remember, the path to power isn't paved by chasing, it's built on stepping away. Embrace your journey, cultivate your inner strength, and watch as the dynamic shifts. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Let's continue this journey together, because every step you take forward is a step toward becoming the person they'll never forget. Number 8. The ultimate test. Will they return? You might be asking, will they ever come back? The truth is, they often do, but by the time they do, you won't even care. It's not about forcing regret. It's about embracing the change within yourself until the past loses its hold. Imagine regret as a slow tide that rises over time rather than a sudden flood. They won't wake up one morning with a blinding moment of clarity. Instead, regret will come in gentle, relentless waves. And when it finally hits, you've already transformed into someone entirely different. Think of it this way. You aren't missed when you're stuck in yesterday's memories, waiting and hoping. Instead, When you let your world continue turning without them, when you forge ahead with purpose and without hesitation, that's when the subtle shift begins. Maybe they'll check your social media, watch your stories, or send a seemingly offhand message like, "Hope you're doing well." It might look like care, but it's not. It's merely a test. Deep down, they want to know if they still hold any sway over you. Many fall into the trap of seeing that message as a lifeline, a chance to prove that they can still command your attention. They rush to respond thinking, "This is it, this is my moment." But the instant you do, you reveal that you were waiting all along. And with that, the power subtly shifts back to them, just as you feared. A person who stands firm in their own transformation never chases, never reacts impulsively, and never gives the validation that was once so eagerly sought. They understand that if someone truly wanted them back, they wouldn't send mere breadcrumbs. They would move mountains to prove it. Consider the wisdom of the Stoics. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When you begin to view your journey as one of self-mastery, rather than a desperate attempt to reclaim the past, you become unshakable. You're no longer waiting for approval or for someone to fill a void. You're filling that void with your own growth. That quiet, determined energy, like a slowly burning ember that eventually ignites into a roaring fire, is what makes you irresistible. Some might wonder, what if they do come back? The reality is, if you've truly evolved, you might find that the version of you they once knew is no longer in need of validation from anyone. By the time they realize what they've lost, you've already stepped into a new chapter of your life, one where you hold all the cards. It's like watching a majestic tree grow strong and tall, its roots deep in the earth. The wind may try to shake it, but the tree stands firm, unyielding. And if a passerby only notices the fallen leaves, they miss the power of what lies beneath. You're not waiting for them to regret or to rush back with apologies. You're busy building a life that speaks of resilience and self-worth. That silent strength is the ultimate test. It forces them to confront a hard truth. You were never meant to be theirs. In the end, when they finally decide to reach out, you'll face a choice. Do you let them back into a life that's already moved forward? Or do you continue on your path of relentless self-improvement? More often than not, you'll realize you no longer need what you left behind. If you're ready to keep pushing forward, embracing your growth, and letting your life be the answer to all the questions they never asked, then you're on the right path. Like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on this journey of transformation. Remember, I never break my frame. Number 9, the mindset that makes you untouchable. A person who controls themselves controls everything. By now you've done what most fail to do. You've detached, you've gone silent, you've stopped chasing. The power has shifted. But there's one final step, the one that separates the ordinary from the unstoppable, mastering the unshakable mindset. Many go through this process with a hidden motive, to get them back. They think, if I act strong, if I go silent, they'll regret leaving and come back to me. But that mindset is still rooted in weakness. Why? Because it still depends on them. A truly powerful person doesn't need anyone. They become whole within themselves. This is where Stoicism separates you from the rest. Most people are ruled by emotions. If someone pulls away, they panic. If they come back, they get excited. They adjust their behavior based on what the other person does, like a puppet controlled by invisible strings. But the Stoic mind remains the same, unmoved, indifferent, untouchable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means no matter what happens, whether they reach out, whether they don't, whether they move on or come running back, your path remains unchanged. You dictate your emotions. They don't dictate you. And the moment you reach that level of control, you become magnetic, not just to them, but to the world. People respect someone who moves with purpose, who doesn't seek approval, who never bends just to please another. In a world full of desperate individuals, you stand apart. While others are consumed by their emotions, you are calm. While others chase, you move forward without hesitation. That's what makes you rare. You might wonder, does this mean I stop caring entirely? No, it means you care about the right things, yourself, your growth, your mission. It means you no longer place your happiness in the hands of another. It means you no longer see someone's attention as a prize. They won't admit it, but this is the moment they fear most. Not just losing you, but realizing they never had control over you to begin with. When that realization sets in, regret follows. But by then, you won't even be thinking about them. You'll be too busy becoming something greater. Number 10, the regret they'll never admit. The ultimate revenge isn't anger. It isn't proving a point. It isn't making them regret their choices. The real victory is becoming the person they can never have again. They won't admit it. They'll pretend they're fine, like walking away was easy. They'll act as if they don't care, as if they've already moved on without hesitation. But buried beneath the surface, where their pride won't let them go, they know the truth. A person like you is rare. And once they realize what they lost, there's no coming back from that. People don't regret losing what's easily replaced. They only regret losing what was one of a kind. The ones who were disciplined, focused, untouchable, the ones who didn't beg, didn't chase, didn't break, the ones who silently walked away and built something greater. That's the difference. Weakness is forgettable. Strength lingers in the mind long after the moment has passed. They'll think about you, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there will come a time when they scroll through their phone, see your name, and feel something they never expected. Doubt. Doubt about whether they made the right choice. Doubt about whether the next person will ever match your presence. Doubt about why you never looked back. And that doubt will haunt them, because no matter how much time passes, no matter how much they pretend to have moved on, a question will creep into their mind. Do they ever think about me? The irony is, you won't. Because the person you are now is untouchable. You're no longer seeking closure, no longer waiting for validation, no longer giving energy to what no longer serves you. You've already won. That's the final truth they will never say out loud. They expected you to break. Instead, you became something greater. And now, they're the ones left chasing ghosts. Weak people seek revenge, strong people move on, but powerful people become so great that others regret ever losing them. By now, you understand what most never will. Attachment is weakness, detachment is power. You've learned that chasing gets you nowhere, that silence is your greatest weapon, and that the moment you stop caring is the moment everything shifts in your favor. But here's the most important lesson of all. This was never about them. It was always about you. They were just the catalyst, the test that forced you to evolve. And now you're no longer the same person who was left behind. You're sharper, wiser, stronger. You've stepped into the mindset of someone who cannot be shaken. And the best part? You don't need them to regret losing you, because their regret is irrelevant. Your growth is the only thing that matters. They won't admit it, but they'll wonder, they'll doubt, they'll remember. But you'll be too busy writing the next chapter of your life to even notice. They were just a page. You are the whole book.